I like you, you like me. If I like you, you like me. If I like you, yeah. If I like you, if I like you, you like me. If I like you, you like me. Why don't we?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Not Another Couples Podcast. We're recording half an episode tonight. We have two Halloween things we're watching, and Mrs. the Adjunct GM, Megan, just finished watching her horror movie for the year.
Night of the Living Dead. Yes, the one and only scary movie for the year.
A 1968 classic, black and white film. A movie that I quite enjoy, but haven't seen in long enough that I forgot a lot of it. But let's just start off real quick. This is going to become a thing. We should say that Megan is going to watch a horror movie a year, along with maybe a Halloween type series, and then stream a scary video game, which is going to be coming up in a week or two. And I'm going to put up a poll on our Facebook account, on my personal Facebook, to see what game that will be. But right now we're between Resident Evil 2, Dead Space, Resident Evil 7.
You said Dead Space would be too scary for me, so
I think it would be okay. No, he said Resident Evil 7 in VR. So we're looking at RE2, Dead Space, RE7, or Alan Wake. And I may change out RE7 for Control to do two Remedy Studios games, because, I kind of agree with my brother that Resident Evil 7 is Biohazard, which is a masterpiece of a horror game.
All that to say, I'm doing this for charity.
Yeah, we typically speaking, our go-to charity is the Alzheimer's Foundation.
Mm-hmm. I also thought about possibly donating to the Montgomery County Animal Shelter.
I'd be okay with that as well. For those unfamiliar, I'm a big fan of the Alzheimer's Foundation. Due to my in memory and honor of my grandmother, Janice Trotter, who is someone who suffered from Alzheimer's and dementia for some time, and that's an organization that I think is doing wonderful work and is a group that actually puts their money towards reasonable research. But we are also in Montgomery County, Tennessee, and our Humane Society recently, our animal control just got a new building, and our Humane Society just did us a real solid in taking care of our corgi Samwise.
Yeah. He's okay.
Yeah.
It was a general procedure. We also have our girl
got his
Pepper.
balls took.
Yeah.
We will determine. We'll announce which charity for sure money will be going to. Megan's doing the scary stuff, so she gets to pick.
Yeah. Well, tell you what, though, I think we said this last episode. We make enough, we'll be able to split the funds.
Yeah. And I think it'll be Alan Wake. I think I will just supersede whatever the poll ends up being and say you're playing Alan Wake.
Then what's the point of the poll?
For funsies. But Resident...
Where can people find this poll? Where are you going to post it?
Look on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and Blue Sky at the Adjunct GM. I'll put it there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's several games. I think you'll enjoy all of them. The one that would mess with you the most is RE7. Mm-hmm. The one I think you would enjoy the most is Alan Wake. Alan Wake being...
Are we really looking for me to enjoy this, though, or to make my blood pressure go up? Is that what we're looking at
here? If we were just trying to make your blood pressure go up, I would get you to play RE7 in virtual reality.
Yeah.
Again, which the scene that I played a little bit of it in virtual reality. The main thing that I remember is there's a scene really early on where your character, Ethan, raises his hand to stop who he thought was dead wife from hitting him with a chainsaw, and his hand gets cut off at the wrist.
Oh my God.
Which is wild when you're wearing a VR headset.
Yeah, don't.
But we're not talking about anything that high def.
Don't do that to me, please.
Yeah, we're not talking about anything that high def. We're talking about a 1960s black and white film tonight.
Okay, so the reason we picked this one, it seemed like a relatively, by some people's standards, a tame choice.
Mm-hmm.
But
you vetoed a lot of my. Can I share Can I share the choices you vetoed?
Yes.
My first choice was The Right, starring Anthony Hopkins, of Hannibal Lecter fame, which is a really good like spiritual successor to Exorcist. I suggested Haunting in Connecticut, which we watched the trailer and you're like, no.
No, absolutely not. No.
I suggested The Ring, which is a all-time classic.
No.
And finally, I suggested and was vetoed. You were going to say yes to rhyming with The Ring. You were going to say yes to The Thing. But then when you realized it was body horror, you said you changed your mind.
I have a big thing about body horror and I can't. So we chose Night of the Living Dead because
I thought an old school movie would.
Yeah, an old school movie we thought might be a little hokey, not too scary, but have the right amount of scary for me.
Maybe not.
I got through it. I got through it.
With the covers up a little bit, but you got
not
through
as
it.
much as Alien, not as much as I did with Alien.
That's fair.
Yeah, I did a little, maybe a little bit better about that than Alien, but I yelled a whole lot more. I yelled a whole lot more at this movie. But yeah, it's become a thing now for sure that I'm definitely the type of person that will yell and scream at the movie during the horror movie.
I could have told you that.
You can't take me to the movie theater to see a horror movie. I will just shout and scream the whole time.
We need to make that a thing sometime.
No. But to that point also, not only because we thought it would be a little bit on the tamer side as far as like scary stuff goes, it's also a classic.
Yep.
And everybody who's a scary movie fan or at least heard of anything Halloween or anything zombie related knows Night of the Living Dead, whether they've seen it or not.
Yeah. I was once upon a time in a stage production of this in high school. So it has been 16 years. Roughly. But I was in a stage production of this where I just played an extra. I remember our director, Brian, had us all learn, the zombies all learn Thriller for the curtain call.
For the curtain call. I was going to say, how did that tie into this?
It didn't.
Unless it was a parody of it.
Brian was just a real like theatrical, like musical theater type person.
No, I love that though, for the curtain call.
So what was cool about that, I was new at the place we were doing this. This was in Dixon, Tennessee at the Renaissance Center, which has since been overwhelmed by it was purchased by a Church of Christ college for a while that didn't allow musical theater or any kind of theater or music, and then it was something else, and now it is like a biblically based history museum, like in the vein of the Ark Encounter, which I could talk a lot about that, but we're not going to get into all that.
That's not what we're talking about.
But I performed in several plays there. Back when it was just a non-profit arts and science.
There's one other
center.
Story you're not talking about with when you did this play, and it's the Taco Bell story.
I'll get there. But no, we did this show, and it was one of my first there, and I was just an extra in this one. So zombie makeup, and the director had the idea that during the show, he wanted extras wandering through the aisles as zombies. Oh. So that was my role. I was just a zombie wandering through and like touching people on the edge, on the end cap seats.
Actually, I kind of like that touch.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then at the end, we all ran up and did Thriller, which I don't remember how to do. Much to our child's chagrin, who is big on Sing, and it's Thriller.
They have a Thriller special. Yeah.
But part of that is that one night after a show, a bunch of us who were just zombies decided to go to Taco Bell in our full zombie makeup. And that was quite fun. Back when Taco Bell had a real dollar menu.
Gone are the good old days.
Gone are the good old days. But this is a classic film. The play I was in was based on the radio play, which there was a radio play before there was a movie. Megan, just tell us your thoughts on the film. I'm going to let you kind of lead this one from here on out.
Yeah, we actually are doing this a little bit different than our normal episodes. Normally we have sort of a prompt written out, like, you know, we got to make sure we talk about these specific points or whatever. But this time we're going off of the notes that I wrote while we were watching the movie. I actually kind of sifted through some of them, so I had to like get rid of quite a few because there were some that were a little redundant. But yeah, we got a good 18 notes to get through here.
Well,
I'll try to.
Off.
Yeah. Okay. So, first of all, this movie, which came out in 1968, came out when my mother was 6 years old. And it's kind of cool to think about how this would have been a thing during my mom's childhood. And I meant to ask you,
was going to hate you out in her like this.
Was this a cult classic immediately when it came out? Or was it one of those things where like Hocus Pocus, where it bombed at the box office, but then became beloved later?
I want to say it took things by storm to a certain extent. I mean, so George A. Romero was one of the original creators of this film, and he and his collaborator, whose name is slipping my mind right now, a little bit of film history. Hold on. I'm actually just going to look it up. So George A. Romero was one of the two minds behind Night of the Living Dead. And he made the film along with his collaborator. And then the two split up. And they ended up, so one made of the Living Dead films, and then one made of the Dead films. So George A. Romero was the one who kind of became the more popular. And his movies were, after Night of the Living Dead, were like Dawn of the Dead. So one made of the Living Dead films and one made of the Dead films.
Okay.
And they split up at this point, but they're very different creators. Peter Grunwald is the name I'm finding off the top of my head, but I'm not sure that's right. We'll have to look it up later.
Okay. Just, kind of an interesting thing to think about, at least when we were watching this film, because like I said, everybody just about at least our age, older, maybe a little younger, knows what the movie Night of the Living Dead is. So I half wondered if it was immediately beloved. Our last scary movie we watched, in contrast, which was Alien. We have an episode on that, by the way. That's like, I think, episode number 2 we ever had on this podcast. So go back and listen to that if you haven't. You told me that was a box office smash when it came out. And I half wondered if that was also the case for Night of the Living Dead. It seems so.
It is John Russo who made Return of the Living Dead, which is a really odd film in that his zombies, he sticks with the thing that it's like cosmic radiation that causes zombies. Sorry to interrupt you, by the way.
You're okay. Go ahead.
But I remember one of the things of those movies is that the zombies are legit invulnerable. Like they melt a zombie in acid, and the cloud of smoke from that is still, quote unquote, living.
That's what you were telling me earlier as this movie started when we were watching. Point number 2, and this is just kind of going in the order of the movie. And this was like, as I was watching the movie, I was quickly jotting these notes down, like my immediate thoughts, sort of again, like how we did our Studio Ghibli and our Alien movie. So moving forward, number 2, excessive driving. 6 hours to put a wreath on a grave. Mom asked for too much. That's just a lot.
I kind of wonder if that's a thing for like older horror movies, because now that I think about it, like Psycho has people on long car rides. Mm-hmm. The Birds involves the main character driving to a small town.
I have just thought about something. You know how in a lot of superhero movies there's like subliminal advertising, like in the Avengers?
Are
like
you thinking
they knock
it's
over
car marketing?
Yes.
But the marketing says that cars take you to bad things.
But they're fancy looking. Because look at that car that first showed up in Night of the Living Dead. It got like 5 minutes of screen time.
You're probably right, and it's kind of messing with me right now. Is that product placement that there's so much driving in early films? I think it's product placement
because that seems to be the case in a lot of older black and white films.
But it seems kind of counterintuitive because then cars take you to bad things.
But it looks good, and they get a lot of shots of the cars driving in the road or them driving in the interior of the car. A lot of things happen in the car. It's a lot better than getting 5 seconds of screen time for a Dr. Pepper vending machine. But anyways, 6 hours for a car ride to put a wreath on a grave. That's kind of a bit much. Though I guess in the 60s that was just kind of expected, I suppose.
It's kind of weird that they're like we thought they were a couple at first, and it was like brother and sister.
Brother and sister. It is insinuated a little bit that it's husband and wife at first, and they're like, oh wait, it's brother and sister.
They're coming to get you, Barbara. That's a famous horror line.
I know. I remember like when he said that, I'm like, oh, that was part of the trailer, wasn't it? Yeah. Moving on. Point number 3. What zombie is smart enough to use a brick? I made the point, like, this annoyed me the whole movie.
Yeah, there were several times where the zombies pick up a thing to break a window.
And they were using, like, essentially tools.
Yeah, which definitely breaks zombie tropes in modern stuff. So we've had a lot of zombie media in the modern day and age, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we often break zombies down into 2, maybe 3 categories. We have the of the living dead / Walking Dead zombies, which are quote unquote slow zombies, and this is true of Resident Evil for the most part, though Resident Evil is that 3rd category I'll get to in a minute, where zombies are like, the idea is, it's a body but with the base parts of the brain still working, which is the ability to ambulate and the need to feed. So you have slow zombies, which are just sort of husks of people.
But then if they're able to use bricks and tools, that puts them on the level of monkeys.
I'm getting there.
It just bothers me.
And then we have the 28 days later fast zombies, which are less undead and more people with rabies.
Ugh.
Yeah, and then finally we have Resident Evil, which is the first kind, but also some like mutants like Mr. X and the Lickers. And have you ever seen a Resident Evil movie or game? We'll work on that another year. But so yeah, and so this movie had the slow zombies, but with the addition of there were a couple times where they picked up a table leg or some bricks or something, which does sort of feel like a prototype for what we know as the modern zombie genre.
Yeah, that felt like cheating a little bit, but I suppose it drove the story forward a little bit, or I don't know. It was a driving point of some kind, but I mean, like, zombies are supposed to be mindless, like you said, except for the need to consume. And
we did get to, and that's what makes zombies scary, by the way. Zombies are the idea of like the human becoming inhuman. So it's the idea. I think the thing that makes like the zombie trope scary is that it's something that looks human that is fully not human. So like predation, like cannibalism is the most inhuman thing that we can imagine, I think, is where zombies come from. And so the idea that a zombie is something that has so lost its humanity that it predates upon itself. And I think that's why zombies are so scary, that it's the uncanny valley. But also I will throw in, we've often heard in the modern age that, have you ever seen any of the things that are like humans are a horror movie monster, like from the perspective of like a deer? Because humans, the way that like early humans hunted was that we were stamina hunters. Right? So the idea is humans aren't fast, but they don't tire out. So like I read a comic once that was from the perspective of a deer, that's like the deer can run fast, but at the end of the day, the human is not going to tire out. And it's a crow talking to this deer, and it's like, look back to the last place you rested, and there are the like early humans with their spears, and it's like, you can run faster, but how long can you run faster?
Oh God!
And zombies turns that back on us.
Oh God!
Zombies have the main thing about zombies is that they have infinite stamina, so you can run faster, but eventually you're gonna get tired. And that comic I read was like, so eventually you'll be horrified and out of breath and unable to run.
I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Nope.
So it turns the thing that makes us scary back against us.
Oh God. Ugh. I don't like that one bit. Nope. No, thank you.
Exactly.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
Moving forward, please. This movie had a whole lot more jump scares than I was expecting. And then after the first two, I kept looking for more jump scares, and that was stressing me out for a lot of the movie. But the very first jump scare is actually kind of a funny one. And if you've seen Night of the Living Dead in recent memory, then you'll know, yeah, this is definitely the first one. The first jump scare of the movie, the taxidermy animals. They all, like, it seems like a lot of good horror movies, there is the trope where the first jump scare is something stupid, but you know you're watching a horror movie, so you're expecting it. And when they suddenly play like the scary Sting music, and it's something that like pops out of nowhere, but it's something silly, like a taxidermy animal, it's a jump scare. So yeah, that got me. That was jump scare number 1. Point number 5, which is jump scare number 2, the half-eaten corpse. We realize something's very, very wrong in the house. Point number 6. I had to point this out because I thought this was actually quite phenomenal. A black male lead in 1968. I thought that was actually pretty awesome. What was it you were telling me about horror movies?
So I think I'd like have to do a little research to make sure this is the case, but I think horror movies as a general rule tend to be a little more progressive because it puts the world in a situation where societal norms don't matter anymore. So it allows you to push those societal norms. So yes, throughout this film, we see a black man who is in primary control of the situation, and many times he says like, I'm the boss here, shut the hell up. We see this individual who is whose practical skills become more valuable due to the situation, and that's sort of, I think, where it comes from, that all of the sudden societal norms don't matter anymore, and it's about survivability.
Well, I'm kind of glad that like that was the driving point of this movie, is like none of that matters. They don't even address it in the movie whatsoever. And I very much appreciate that. It's just all about survival. Until
the end, where it kind of does.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I'm going to talk about that. But I just thought it was really neat that a black man was cast as the male lead in 1968. I thought that was actually pretty awesome.
And there's a podcast that gets way more into movie stuff than us.
Yeah.
If you're interested, check out Midnight Local, which is from Greg from How to Drink, and Meredith. I don't know Meredith's last name, but it's a podcast I really enjoy. Midnight Local talks about this particular movie and the Partners movie kind of together.
Well, the whole reason we're doing this again is just from the perspective of someone who's never seen a lot of like classic movies or hasn't had the experience of said experience very much.
Do either of your parents like scary movies though? I could see your dad being into scary. Your mom,
no,
definitely not.
No. My dad, I mean, I can say without a doubt he's definitely watched some Resident Evil movies, because there were several times growing up he would come home late from work, because he, most of the time, at least these days, he works so it's shift from 2 p.m. to 11. Weirdly enough, odd hours, but blue collar worker, what can you do? But oftentimes if he did not feel tired enough to go to bed, he would just put on whatever movie was on cable TV, and most of the time would be like one of the movie channels, and often enough it would be a scary movie. Like,
so less seeking out scary movies and more it's what's on.
It's what's on, yeah. And it definitely didn't bother him hardly at all. He just sat there and watched, though. You could argue it was also because he was just excessively tired.
So I like scary horror movies, but it's not something that, like, as a kid I sought out. My brother was more of the horror movie person. I've never been bothered by them, but it wasn't my thing. I've never been big on slasher movies, which was sort of a rule we set out that you aren't either.
Yeah.
I don't like the Jason Voorheeses and the Freddy Kruegers and things like that.
We said at roughly about the beginning of this episode, not a fan of body horror at all.
Yeah.
At all.
I like body horror. I don't like slasher movies. I like psychological horror. The Ring is good. I would like us to watch The Shining one year.
I don't know, maybe.
I like mind benders. I think Event Horizon is maybe one of the scariest movies I've ever seen.
Well, we're about almost 30 minutes into this, and I still have several more to go. I'm not even halfway.
Go ahead.
This I did want to talk about because we briefly talked about this, and I do want to talk about this point some more. Point number 7, how a zombie should look was different in 1968, not as grotesque looking. Most looked like they were in a bad car accident or malnourished.
Which is scarier to me.
Yeah, honest, you could argue that it is a lot scarier because it doesn't look that much different. They were... At the beginning of the movie, it literally looked like a guy that was just she probably thought he was drunk or something, or just staring off into space, or just daydreaming or whatever. She was coming towards him to apologize for her brother's actions, and he ended up attacking her because he looked like a normal person.
And then the person that takes her out is that very brother.
Oh my God. I think I saw that twist coming, actually.
Yeah.
But... you think back a little bit, the first thing that popped into my head as an example about this is that the zombies of Night of the Living Dead look a whole lot different than the zombies of The Walking Dead, for sure. Nowhere, well, black and white, of course, nowhere near as bloody, still just as scary. So I half wonder where that started when it evolved into like a normal looking person versus this,
like someone with half their jaw missing. This
grotesque, covered in blood, white out eyes monster.
Well, I think part of that is part of the horror, I think, of the undead, of zombies, is in Night of the Living Dead, we're seeing the night of the incident. And nowadays, following 28 Days Later and other movies of that flavor, it's become more common to have, in The Walking Dead, Rick is in a coma and wakes up from a coma a month or two into the zombie apocalypse.
To put in a small point here, I have also never seen The Walking Dead, and I don't think I will, so go ahead.
In The Walking Dead, Rick, the main character, wakes up a month into the zombie apocalypse, having been in the hospital. And that's pretty common nowadays. We see the zombie apocalypse after it's already started, and part of the horror is that these people are walking around having already started to rot away. And that's become part of the horror that maybe wasn't part of it before.
Oh, okay.
So we're seeing people that have desiccated over a time is part of the like new thing.
Okay. So it's already a well-established point of time.
I remember we played a tabletop RPG called Call of Cthulhu, where one of the like big horror moments I put, because pain is human, right? The pain response is something that's like innately human. And I described a person who was being possessed by a extraterrestrial as walking on a broken leg. And like I described the squelching of like, and you could like see the bone poking out of a person walking on their broken leg. And that's gross and scary. And that's what the modern zombie stuff is, in that it makes zombies cadavers in a state that is inhuman, because we can't. It would be hellish to imagine a living person like that.
That's just, I don't know. That was an interesting point to me. Like, how did we evolve from this to 1968 to early 2010s of The Walking Dead?
Instead, in Night of the Living Dead, the thing that is hellish is just the cannibalism.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if that means we've become desensitized.
The act of being a zombie rather than the look of a zombie. Yeah. That's interesting, actually.
Yeah, and that freaked you out, just seeing someone eating what looked like a human liver.
I'm going to get to it. I promise. That's later. Point number 8, snap out of it and help, damn it. Like, I got so annoyed with Barbara. I could not stand her. Oh my gosh. She was so freaking annoying. Like, hello, you're just gonna sit there and be useless? Oh, I get being psychologically scarred. I get it.
Megan,
I'm just like,
Megan, she was the hysterical woman. That was that's
she disappointed
a trope.
me.
That's the woman trope, right? She's on a fainting couch the whole film.
She disappointed me.
Yeah, her brother's her male valet is gone. She spends most of the movie at the whims of a strange man.
I was so happy with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah,
Alien, and
we've come a long way from last year's Alien film.
We turned hard and we technically went backwards.
Yeah,
because we went from the 1980s to the late 1960s, and big
difference. Now we've
go back. Ladies.
Now we've gone to a quote unquote hysterical woman who gets slapped onto a fainting couch. And
the thing that
another
annoys
woman
me the
who
most,
is a overbearing mother who gets killed by her own daughter.
There were 2 other women that could have been more capable, and instead
a doting wife whose husband leads her into. Yeah, so we see.
I'm going to talk about this at another point. I'm going to get to it. I promise I'm going to get to it. I got to keep going. Point number 9. We're halfway there. Good or bad hearing. Get your story straight. Every man for themselves or help the girl. That actually begs a humanity question in the middle of a zombie apocalypse where there is no humanity to be found. So that's kind of an interesting point right there is, do you protect you and yours, or do you try to be a hero? And it's interesting to think about. It's a social thing.
I'd say that's the other crux of a zombie movie. We're dealing with the monster is people who have lost their humanity, right? So then the question becomes, and Walking Dead deals in this a lot, where it's, we don't fear the dead, we fear the living, becomes a slogan of the movie, because people succumb to barbarism in a lot of cases. So that is the point. Like, the thing that screws you over in a zombie movie is people succumbing to hysteria. And it blurs the line, right? It's the zombies are monsters because they're people that aren't people anymore. But then you have people that are people that aren't acting like people. So the thing that makes humanity what it is, reason and sanity, starts to blur.
Just goes out the window.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Point number 10. We're almost there. We got 18 of these. Point number 10. Jump scare number 3. The hands.
Yeah. Lots of hands.
I thought this was going to be a different jump scare. As Ben was walking by I thought he was going to look out the boards to check how many there were again. And I thought there was going to be a face staring right at him. But no, instead we get all the hands popping out of nowhere. And I was not expecting that. So yeah, jump scare number 3. Point number 11. You spoke briefly about how you've often thought, and I'm sure you're not alone in this, a zombie scenario in our city. What would you do?
There's a hardware store along the river that rents canoes. That hardware store is a veritable labyrinth of weird shit that they stock. It's called Hardware City. Okay, if you've ever been in this part of the world, you'll be aware of Hardware City on the river. Yeah, they rent canoes. They also sell literally everything.
Literally everything.
So the idea would be to go there, stock up on a couple survival tools and things of use, take a couple of the canoes they have, and canoe downriver to the electrical plant, Cumberland City. At which point you hold up there until you have things stable. You can either stay there, or I've also thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to go to Disney World and where it would be easy to take over the tunnels underneath the park.
Though I half wonder if at Hardware City, if we could put any use to the blow up yard decorations they sell there as well.
Probably less that and more the fact that they have gardening tools and seeds, but also weapon. They sell weapons.
And yes, and yard decorations and yard flamingos and all that stuff.
That doesn't help with zombies.
You could use the bottom of the flamingo that they stake in the yard to
I can think of better zombie killing.
You get a good metal pink flamingo and you could bash them in the head.
Nah. So, Megan, you didn't grow up reading Mel Brooks's son's book. Are you familiar with, you know who Mel Brooks is, right? Of the thing that pisses me off about modern art. His Mel Brooks. That's not who I'm thinking of. Andy Rooney is who I'm thinking of. Sorry, hold on.
No, we're keeping that in there.
Andy Rooney's son. You didn't grow up reading Andy Rooney's son book. Andy Rooney being that guy on the news. It was like, what pisses me off about modern art is that Picasso did real art before he did the weird stuff. His son made a zombie book called The Zombie Survival Guide, which says, it's on our shelf, I believe. But it says things like, the best type of armor for dealing with a zombie apocalypse would be shark bite suits, rather than like plate mail, which would be like stealing some plate armor from a museum would be heavy and cumbersome and wear you out. You could
argue instead of Disney World, we could hide out at the Smithsonian in DC.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there though, and there's a lot of entrances. My thought being those tunnels.
That's true.
It's about the tunnels.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. But wait. I actually have another question. When was that book written?
I don't know. Hold on. I can't believe I said Mel Brooks instead of Andy Rooney. That's probably racist. The Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks, a 2003 fictional survival manual.
2003. Okay.
Yes.
So it's not like a book written in the 80s where some of the information would be outdated. Though you could argue it's kind of early, far back enough that maybe it could stand to use some updated.
He also wrote World War Z,
Oh, yeah.
Who starred in World War Z? Was it Kutcher?
Brad Pitt.
It was Brad Pitt, that's right.
That I do know, yes.
And it had the 13th Doctor in it, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good movie.
But that's just interesting that we brought up. I'm sure most people talk about this during any zombie movie. Like, you know what I would do in a zombie apocalypse? Here's my plan. And
all men have a zombie apocalypse plan.
I want to know if this is true. Genuinely want to know if this is true. So if you do, leave a comment.
Yeah, share your zombie apocalypse plan in the comments. And do you plan for the bros? Like my plan is there's a lot of canoes at Harbor City. We can all meet up there. Like it's part of the plan.
Moving on. Point number 12. There are too many useless or complaining people in this movie. Far too many. And that's what stressed me out in this movie.
That's a zombie movie thing. What we lost in what wasn't in this movie and became a thing later is the person who gets bit and doesn't admit it.
Yeah, that's kind of fallen back on the little girl who got like maybe 2 lines in the whole movie. She just kind of becomes this ticking time bomb. Yeah. And you're right. They don't admit there's not that.
But often you get a selfish middle-aged white man who gets bit and hides it from the group.
I've often seen it. It's the wife of a white woman wife who like is too scared to speak up in front of everybody and doesn't want to be thrown out to the wolves, as it were. So.
Or in Resident Evil, it's a dude who was in the second movie, and in the third movie, he's a pimp, and in the third movie, he's just part of the group, and he hides his bite. But Resident Evil, Walking Dead, there's a dude who's just like in the RV who eventually does admit that he's been bit. But like selfish individual who hides their bite is a common.
We are missing that in this movie. That is true.
Yeah, that wasn't quite a thing here.
I kind of prefer that. I hate that it was a kid, but yeah. Point number 13. Judy, you idiot. Just running like, I'm going with him, and just straight up runs out the door like, girl, what'd you think was going to happen? And then she just stands there like a deer in headlights, and they're like, if you're coming, get in the truck. And the whole reason they end up dying is because her jacket got stuck.
One of your common refrains throughout this movie was, girl, what?
Or like, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Girl with a capital U. A lot of this movie. Girl?
Like, this goes back to the point of I'm so disappointed at the amount of incapable women in this movie.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fair.
so disappointed. Like, they got pushed over to duties of the damsel in distress on the fainting couch, the woman cutting up cloth to help the men with their Molotov cocktails, the woman who looks after the children. And I'm like, really? And then they make them to either be the reason that they cause deaths or have them make absolutely stupid decisions that kill them in the end as well.
It's interesting that in a lot of ways the movie comes off as progressive, but in so many other ways it comes off as the opposite.
It got me steamed. I swear, it got me steamed. Oh man, we need more capable. I think there are plenty of, obviously, you keep talking about Resident Evil.
I was about to say, you should watch Resident Evil. A lot more
capable women.
You need some more Jill Valentines in your life.
Yeah, maybe. I might give Resident Evil a try just for that alone. I don't know. We'll see. I might get 15 minutes into the movie. I'm like, nah, man, that's not for me.
It's more of an action movie. I think you'd be okay.
We'll see. Number 14, Megan's yelling, LOL. Like the last 30 minutes, the last half hour of this movie, I think I was yelling at the TV far too much. And it's just like, I want to say you fell asleep at some point during the movie, because you often do, because our couch is so comfy. And you've seen this movie before, so just got comfortable and you fell asleep. I think my yelling woke you up, because I was like, what is happening? What are you doing? Stop it. No, there's one right behind you. And going back to the point again of what I said before, you can't take me into a scary movie at the theater. They will kick me out.
You did okay.
Point number 15. We're almost there. I can't stand the sound of the zombies eating. I thought I could just simply look away, like just them picking off pieces, and I knew they were fake. I knew the part that made me look away was the wide shot of them at the truck after the fire was starting to die down. And I see this one zombie picking up a severed foot. Again, I know it's fake, but I'm just like, oh, nope. And I start looking away, and I look away and put my hand in front of my face. And I'm like, just tell me when it's over. Tell me when they stop eating. And all of a sudden I hear, and I'm like, no, I can't. And I had to close my eyes and plug my ears because I could not stand, which is weird. I think it's because of the visual that I had in my head. Like, I knew what they were eating, and that's why it bothered me, because I'm normally not triggered. I'm not one of those people that's, like, triggered by the sound of somebody chewing or smacking or all that stuff. I'm not triggered by that stuff. This I was.
Megan says, chew with your mouth closed.
Oh
Jeez.
my God. Oh my God. I could not stand it. And there was like even one gag where I had to quickly look away as they were going to the house for a second. And all of a sudden they go back outside to the zombies. And I knew like it was probably just some socks stuffed into pantyhose. But was meant to look like an intestine. And the zombie was just waving it around like, oh. And I'm like, oh dear God, no.
Pantyhose are just a sausage casing.
I didn't like it. Okay, almost there. Jump scare number 4 and the last one, Mrs. Cooper opening her eyes after her daughter used, was it a trowel?
Yeah, it was a masonry trowel.
Oh, masonry trowel. Yeah, I thought it was a garden one. And all of a sudden she because Ben had made it downstairs by this point, and I knew Mr. Cooper was going to wake up, even with his arm cut off. And it's the boom, 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 boom going on in the background, just the endless droning of that going on. And I'm like, nope, 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 I don't like this one bit. So I knew Mr. Cooper for sure was going to wake up eventually, and he starts rising, and I'm like, no, kill him, shoot him now, shoot him now, shoot him now. And then I'm like, okay, now turn around, you got one more, okay, kill her. Before she opened it up, she opened her eyes, and to kill her, shoot him. So that was the final jump scare. And then to our last point, to try to wrap up this episode, spoilers, if you have not seen Night of the Living Dead,
they had 50 years to see it. It's okay.
I know, but still, if you're like me and you haven't seen this movie up to this point, I can call myself 34 years old and only just now seen this classic movie. So if you haven't, this is a big spoiler at the very end. Point number 18. They shoot him? That's the ending? They shoot him and burn him?
Yup.
What kind of an ending is that?
A sad one.
My gosh. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. I guess a lot of tropes that I've heard of with horror movies is that there's at least one person that gets away. There's one person that escapes or walks off into the horizon for a fate that is unknown. But then the fact that there's no survivors because they mistake him for a zombie, and they don't even bother to check if it's a survivor. They just see somebody walking and then pew, that's it. And I'm like, all that for nothing. Oh my gosh. So, wow. Yeah. But I am unsure, actually, if I would ever see this movie again. Because we asked this question as well when I watched Alien. I suppose I'll give the same answer as I did then. I'm glad that I saw it, and I can appreciate it for the classic that it is. I'm glad I saw it. But would I ever watch it again? Probably not. I would not pick it up off the shelf. If we were in the mood this time next year to watch a horror movie or a scary movie or a Halloween movie, if that, nope. Nah. I would not pick this back up. Nope.
Fair.
But I can say now that I've seen it.
There you go.
So I think this is going to be our Halloween episode for sure, because we're about like almost an hour into this episode. But yeah, that's my scary movie for the year.
We're also watching Over the Garden Wall.
Yes, we are watching Over the Garden Wall.
Which we'll talk about at some point soon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's about it.
Well then, shall we work on wrapping this up?
Yeah.
All right. As always, we want to thank you to Rufus Dawkins for the use of his song, If I Like You, as our intro and exit music. Didn't you say he also had some music on streaming?
Music coming out soon, yeah.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that, Rufus Dawkins. You're awesome. Thank you. Also, like, follow, subscribe. We very, very, very much appreciate it. And then, as always, we have to end with a joke. I think I've got a good one here for you. Okay, so you ready?
Go for it.
What does a zombie call a brain freeze?
What?
a frozen dinner.
Boo. All right, on that note, catch you next time.
You
Bye.
If I like you, you like me. If I like you, yeah. If I like you, if I like you, you like me. If I like you, you like me. Why don't we?